Something that super controversial. I'm just going to say biohacking is not where it's at. Biohacking, I'm not a fan. You can biohack your way into debt, really. I mean, you can be, and biohacking in and of itself, it's really broken. It's not really the way to approach things. It's like folks that are just chasing the newest and latest and greatest supplement, right? Supplements were always meant to be supplemental. You can't just throw supplements at issues that go deep down. And that's why I love integrative and functional medicine, of which I'm a big fan. And I've been practicing this for more than the past decade. It's really the way I've been living my entire life. But I've recently, in the last decade, taken all this training with the Institute for Functional Medicine because I want to incorporate this, and I do incorporate this every single day into my own life, and I use it with clients because it's really the way to go deep and get to the issues that are actually at stake and causing the way that you feel and the symptoms that you have. Like literally, you got to go deep. It's not just throwing a pill at whatever the so-called issue is, the hypertension, the high blood pressure, the diabetes, which most of it out there is type 2 and mostly 99% preventable. I mean, I wrote this book, you guys have seen it, right? Preventable, 5 powerful practices to avoid disease and build unshakable health, because so many things can actually be prevented. Most disease, 7 out of 10 of the leading causes of death worldwide, can be prevented. And you're not hearing this from your doctors. You're not hearing this from the health advocates out there. They're not, maybe they're talking about, you're on YouTube or you're over there listening to the reels on Instagram. People are talking about the latest and greatest supplement and buy this, buy that. No, wait, it's this red light therapy. No, 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 it's this other one. No, you got to do this cold plunge. No, that one and this sauna. And it's confusing. It's so confusing. And I'll say it, especially in my peer group, the high performing professionals. Many of you are right here with me. Like, we want results, right? We want to feel our best. We want answers. And there's fatigue out there. And I'd say the fatigue, it's not just a physical fatigue that many of us have, and we're like not having the energy we wish we did. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But it's not just the physical fatigue that's an issue. It's really decision fatigue, like health fatigue, the biohacking fatigue. Like, people are overwhelmed. Like, I'm kind of sick of hearing all this biohacking, this and that. And there's influencers out there, many of whom I like, and they're good people. And I get it. They're selling the latest and greatest tool out there, whether it's a red light wand or this new, form of collagen or protein, or the sauna that they're getting kickbacks from, or whatever it is. Like, I appreciate that they're out there. They're really at heart trying to do a great job. They're trying to share things that actually could help. But it's literally, it's kind of like the reason that medicine is broken. I called it out in my book. I called it the Band-Aid approach to medicine, where we're just throwing medications at you. And these health influencers, they're throwing supplements at you, or they're throwing biohacks at you. And all of the which may be beneficial, but it's not really going to get to the root cause. And so there's so much fatigue out there. And like I said, it's not just health and it's not just your energy, but it's decision fatigue. It's confusing. People are overwhelmed. You hear all this stuff, whether it be you got to have this particular device. No, it's got to be this wearable or that wearable, or this particular cold plunge. No, it's got to be this temperature. No, 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 that's not the right temperature. You got to have it at this temperature. What about sauna? Do you need the old Finnish sauna, or do you need the infrared sauna? And the temperatures are different. And this type of red light, like, it's exhausting. The supplements are just, every year there's more and more coming out, which is amazing, but there's so much decision fatigue. People are overwhelmed. They're like, what about peptides? What about it? And there are some great ones. And here's the deal. Like, the question really is, what actually matters? What moves the needle? Because right now there's more information than ever, and honestly, less clarity than ever. So today I'm going to simplify this for you. This is my goal. I want to actually talk about what moves the needle in your health, your life, your energy, your vitality, your longevity, and then what's just the noise out there. Because biohacking, like I said, it all started with a great intention. There's great guys out there, well intended, and it's gotten out of control. I mean, you could literally be like Brian Johnson and spend millions and millions of dollars on your health and still kind of not be, in your best self shape. And these things are not, reach at all of our reach, right? We can't spend millions and millions of dollars on our health. But let me tell you, there are some things you can do, many of which cost zero money, which will save you millions of dollars, because you won't have the health conditions that my book talks about, right? The 10 most common causes of death in the world, most of them are preventable. Right here in the US, this year, over 2 million people are going to die, sadly, from causes that could be prevented. 2 million people are going to die this year of things that we could actually do something about. And that's actually why I wrote my book, Preventable, because my intention is to help at least 100 million people. I'm planning on living at least another 50 years. I'm in 52nd year of life, soon to be 53rd year of life in another month. And I am just on this mission to help people not only live their best life, but not die of things that could be prevented. And so that's why I wrote the book. And this is why I'm going to share today about like what's wrong with this biohacking world that we're in. And it started, like I said, with good intention. People wanted to understand their body better. They wanted to optimize their performance. They wanted to extend their health span, maybe lifespan as well. But it's fragmented, it's super random, it's exhausting. And you have people out there that are telling you this and that, and you got to have this 10 stack of supplements. No, it's this dozen over here. You got to have these multiple devices. You got to do this protocol or it's that protocol. And they don't have a clear underlying foundational strategy. So here's the thing, you just can't hack your way out of a misaligned system where foundationally there's issues. You got to go deep. You got to go to the source. You got to go to the foundation because here's what's cool. There's actually now some new data. It's actually emerging as we speak. There is an article. It's not even in press yet. I was able to find it on the website called Preprints, which is really cool because you get to see the articles before they actually get published. And there's this thing happening right now today in the longevity science that's looking at the interventions and all of them that are out there. We have so many at our disposal that are available and what that looks like when you do these interventions, but you don't actually fix the root cause. You don't go deep to the foundational issues, which is why I've been living my life in that functional integrative medicine lens and approach. My entire life I've lived that way. Go deep, get to the basics, build that foundation. And that's why in the last decade I've been specializing in that so I can help people to not just, you know, get more energy for a little while, a week, a month, or drop 10, 20 pounds for a couple of months and then gain it back and then drop it again. No, this is foundational stuff that I want to be able to help you with so that the rest of your life is optimal as far as your health, your energy, your vitality. And so this, I'm just going to pull it up because it was super cool. The preprint article talked about this and they talked about, you know, you've heard this number 120 and they really think that we can live to 120 years. And it's been done even recently. A gal from Italy lived over 120 years. And her thing, I think, was really, besides the amazing Italian food and that she, like all Italians, basically walk everywhere. They walk miles and miles in a day and they're happy and they live in multi-generational households where they love and respect their elders. They incorporate them into every part of their life. They don't just put them out in a care home someplace. They're part of the family, part of the community. And there's so much connection. There's so much love. They eat amazing food. And she had an amazing sense of humor. Like it was incredible. This lady lived past 120 years. And this article, it's called Systems Biology Model for Human Longevity, the restorative terrain for repair before regenerative anti-aging. So it was a cool article. And what they basically came up with is that you can't just go and do all these interventions, these tools, these hacks without going to the root. And so they decided that the root was really important. And this was what got you beyond the 100 to the 120 plus year limit. And they said, here's the flaw. The central flaw in today's market is this anti-aging industry obsession with the anti-aging pill, the peptide, the gadget that ignore the underlying terrain or the underlying foundational dysfunction. And they continue to say, attempting to regenerate in a milieu burdened with micronutrient deficiencies, with metabolic chaos, with mitochondrial decay, chronic inflammation, toxic loads, yields only short-lived results and often misleading outcomes. And so they have very similar come up with what we every day preach in integrative medicine, the foundational things that you got to do with your gut health, with the way that your body has to clear toxins, for example, and the way that you nourish yourself, the way that you move your body and you build your muscle and take care of your energy powerhouse is called the mitochondria. Like literally, these guys took the principles of foundational, integrative, and functional medicine And they basically made this cool diagram of how you can live past 120 years if you get down to these base level foundational systems that really move the needle. So I love that they are getting beyond the noise of all this excitement of biohacking and all the approaches, and actually they recognize that you have to go foundational. You have to go deep. And that's what I see each and every day clinically. People are doing so many things. They're doing everything. They're doing the hacks. They bought the cold plunge for their house. Maybe they bought a sauna. They buy the supplements, but they're not getting the results. Or maybe their results just have plateaued. They just can't get beyond where they are. So here's the deal. I'm going to share with you in the next few minutes. So get your pen and pencil out or listen to this a couple of times. I'm going to give you the basic foundational tools and systems that actually matter. This is where the rubber meets the road, as they often say. And at the highest level, I'm going to simplify this. Longevity and your health are really driven by just a couple of key critical core systems. The first one is simple. It's your circadian rhythm, your biological clock. Your biology is literally designed to run on its own innate circadian rhythm. So things like sleep, the light exposure that I always talk about, get out every morning within the first hour of the day, 5-10 minutes. I mean, if you can make it 15 or 20 and go for a walk and get fresh air and do some breathing, leave your phone at home, leave the sunglasses at home. You can do that each and every morning, be exposed to light in the first little bit of the day. That light exposure is foundational for your energy, for your sleep. Time your meals appropriately. Like, don't roll out of bed and start eating, right? You should have at least a 12 to 14 hour overnight fast. And Sachina Panda from the Salk Institute, he has written more than anybody else I've ever seen on circadian rhythm. And he basically says the two biggest triggers out there for your rhythm is light exposure, right? You want it at the right times during the daylight and not at the wrong times. Once it's dark, you want to be staring into your screens late at night, right? That's the blue light we always talk about. And then we buy the glasses so we can try to fudge and we can we can try to still do the blue light that's not awesome for us and try to get away with it and whatever. And he says, look, the two biggest drivers of your clock are light and meals, eating. So it's the meal timing and the light that are the biggest in our circadian rhythm. They all go deep and regulate our hormones. They regulate our metabolism at the deepest level. And there was an article here that talked about that, and I'm just going to share it with you briefly. It's entitled Lifestyle and Behavioral Enhancements of Sleep. And this is a review from this year, actually 2026. And it talked about sleep and circadian rhythm and how that was one of the most powerful drivers of optimized health, of not only weight loss, but weight maintenance. Once you lose the weight, how do you stay at it? Part of it is your sleep, right? Because if you're not sleeping well, all your hormones get totally awry and messed up and askew. And sleep is one of those foundational things that can move the needle almost more than anything. And this is something that I personally ignored for 20, maybe even 30 years of my life. And the last 20, I've been paying attention to this because their conclusion here, I'm just going to read it to you. Sleep is critical in health. And this is actually just this year, American Journal of Lifestyle Medicine, January of 2026. They literally say in conclusion, sleep is critical in health. And what they've seen is that these interventions, these multidimensional interventions with respect to sleep, they offer significant potential for not only improving sleep quality, but also quantity. And they're talking about doing your sleep every day at the same time, right? Consistency, having a rhythm, a routine, like what we have with our kids, right? If you've ever had young kids or maybe got grandkids, you know, they have their little sleep ritual at night. They got to do the thing, read the book, sing the songs, you know, have the lights dim. Maybe they have a fun, we have these cool little real dim, like red light, night light things that also you can do some vaporizer in there so it humidifies the cool mountain air. You can throw in some cool natural oils as well, and it's awesome. So we do this whole routine with our kids, but we forget in adults, like, we need routine too, right? And they also say that the converse of that, there's so many things when you don't get great sleep that you're at risk for. Number one, in our society, we're plagued with this right now. Present day US of A, Canada, all the developed world, like literally 70+% of us are overweight. And they say, quote in this study, obesity is linked to impaired sleep quality, short sleep duration, nocturnal gastroesophageal reflux disease, GERD, and increased RLS and OSA risk. So that's sleep apnea and restless leg syndrome. And so these are the things that I can't emphasize enough because they're foundational. They are foundational. When this is off, your circadian rhythm is off, everything downstream is off, right? It's going to affect number two. The big driver is your metabolic health, right? We sleep and circadian rhythm is your number one driver. Number two is your metabolic health. And this is literally at the base core foundation of everything, right? When I talk about insulin being the master hormone, like no joke, it is. I mean, I recently took the boards for integrative and functional medicine. And one of the things over and over, like in all the things I was reviewing, they kept coming back to when you talk about hormones, you can't just jump to the thyroid or jump to testosterone or estrogen. You don't jump to those first. First, you got to tackle insulin. Like, what is happening with insulin? Insulin is foundational. And right now, here in our country, it's insane because literally 90% of us, 89 point something percent of us here in the US are insulin resistant. And that affects every aspect of our life. So that's why the biohacking is not working as we hoped that it would, because we haven't gone to the foundation. We haven't gone to the base. We haven't gone deep. We're not fixing the metabolism with the basic master hormone regulator, insulin, right? Insulin sensitivity is so key and crucial. Our energy regulation, our fat metabolism, there's such strong evidence that as you get insulin sensitive and you tend to get lower insulin levels, right? Insulin resistance means your insulin levels are very high because your body keeps cranking out more because your body becomes less responsive to it, right? And that's where in medicine, it's crazy. Like all these folks that have type 2 diabetes, they're turning to giving them more insulin. Like that couldn't be a worse solution. Like it's not, it just worsens the insulin resistance. You got to go to the base, the roots. You got to improve their sleep. You got to change up their diet, right? Like get rid of all these highly processed sugars and carbs and highly processed grains and flours and all the inflammatory foods, the seed oils, like the big three that I always talk about. So this article that I was just sharing about is called Biohacking Better Health, leveraging metabolic biochemistry to maximize your health span. This one was cool. It was from the journal Antioxidants in 2023. And it kind of took this approach too, where it's like there's all this noise about longevity, health span, biohacking. And we actually found that the biggest driver of all of this in the converse, right? The cardiovascular disease, the hypertension, the cancer, dementias, type 2 diabetes, the biggest driver in all of these diseases that are largely preventable, like I share here in my book, is insulin. And so they say these are all hyperinsulinemic diseases and they present in different ways. But hyperinsulinemia, what it does is it decreases your endogenous or your natural antioxidants. It consumes them, right? It consumes them. It also reinforces glucose fueling, which is not optimal. We actually do better and get way more energy if we fuel from healthy fats, right? I mean, this is the whole idea of this book that was written years ago. Great book called Fat for Fuel, and it's part of the picture. I'm not saying you should be on just the keto diet. Like I don't do the keto diet. In fact, I did it for 2 years and I found that I was missing out. I needed some healthy carbs and I eat more healthy carbs than ever. I love my fruits and my veggies and I eat them every day. In fact, at every meal I have carbs because carbs are important, but healthy fats are important too. And you got to have what's called metabolic flexibility to be able to bounce between both of these. And so this article, Biohacking Better Health, Leveraging Metabolic Biochemistry, to maximize health span really got to the root of that. And they talked about how to enhance your energy by improving your insulin sensitivity. And so they say in conclusion, this supports not only tissue health, at the base metabolic level, but also organ health, which leads to a better health span and naturally more health span and lifespan or longevity. And so insulin is that key driver. It is literally the master hormone. And you can't forget about this thing. Like I said, it was one of the key topics on the board exam that I just took is you got to tackle insulin resistance first before you start trying to tackle thyroid hormone and cortisol and estrogen, progesterone, all the sex hormones. You got to tackle your insulin. And that's the biggest issue right now, present day. Nearly 90% of us in the developed world are insulin resistant. And so this is how we change it, right? We change it with circadian rhythm. We change it with diet. We change it with movement, exercise, resistance training. We're going to get into all the tools in just a second. But here's why. This is why you can't just out supplement your poor metabolic health. you have to change some of those foundational things that we call our lifestyle, like what we're doing day in and day out. We got to change some of those things. And so we're going to start with sleep and recovery. This is number three. So first was circadian rhythm, second was metabolic health. Now we're going to get into sleep and recovery because sleep, it's not the passive process that you thought it was. We understand sleep now to a degree that we've never understood before, and it is so cool because Dr. Nygaard back in 2006, now 20 years ago, um, he was able to discover with his colleagues that we have this whole process, this system that is called the glymphatic system that basically refreshes, rejuvenates, cleanses, flushes the brain of toxins. And it only happens effectively while we sleep. It happens while we sleep. And that can't work if we're not getting appropriate sleep. So sleep is actually very active. It's where our body is recalibrating. It's where we are getting rid of toxins like through this glymphatic system. It's actually a really important time for hormones. Some of our very most important hormones for metabolism, like growth hormone, for example, also testosterone. These things are released primarily at night. And if you're not getting appropriate sleep, you're not having your appropriate recovery time, then your hormones get out of whack, your inflammation goes bananas, your energy goes kaput, right? The disruption will not only cause the decreased energy, but it'll also reduce your insulin sensitivity. And when it does that, it increases the thing you don't want, which is inflammation. And so this is key, critical, just crucial. We got to pay attention to our sleep. If we're doing everything else right, we're doing the sauna, we're doing the cold plunge, we're doing the movement, exercise, and we're not sleeping consistently and getting that quality sleep, at least 7 hours for most of us, 7 to 8. Like if our sleep is off, everything else suffers. You can't cheat sleep. You just can't. Like I used to think you could, right? I'll do like the Cure 413 dream song and I'll wait to sleep till I'm dead. And what I found out is I'm going to die younger. I'm going to die sooner if I cheat sleep. You can't cheat your sleep. If you want the whole details on my whole philosophy on sleep, I've done 2 or 3 podcasts on it. Just search it up. I'd love it if you re-listen to those because sleep is critical. It's key. It's important for our cardiovascular health, for our insulin sensitivity, for our energy, for our hormonal health. It's huge. In fact, that's number 4, right? We're already down to number 4. We did number 1, circadian rhythm, your biologic clock, key, critical, important. 2, we talked about metabolic health, the foundational importance of the master hormone insulin. 3, we talked about sleep and recovery. And this means too for all you guys and gals that are into like going to the gym 7 days a week and you're just pushing it, like you got to have some rest days in there too. And you don't have to do nothing on a rest day. I always go for a walk. That's my baseline activity every day is go for a walk. But you can't be pumping iron 7 days a week. Like you got to have some time to recover. Recovery is crucial. And number 4 is hormonal alignment, right? We talk about things like testosterone, TRT, estrogen, bioidentical hormone replacement. We talk about thyroid, right? Thyroid is key, critical, and crucial to metabolism. Your energy, if your energy is off, could be not only that your thyroid is off, but it could be your mitochondria. The energy powerhouse is suffering. Maybe there's too much inflammation going on. Cortisol could be off, right? The stress hormone. There's the 3 phases of how this can go awry. Like initially you have too much cortisol, too much DHEA, and then it starts to dip. You start to have that crash where you don't have enough. And then you have that nighttime surge where you're like tired physically, but your mind is wired and it's all out of whack. And then you get to the 3rd stage. I'm talking about kind of this general process of adrenal fatigue. You've heard about, or this HPA axis disorder, which is with the cortisol. And you get to the 3rd level, and basically you don't even have sufficient. You're not able to regulate. And maybe you're craving salt all the time. And that could be an indicator that your cortisol is messed up. So here's the thing. These are not just health markers, convenient lab tests to do, right? The cortisol, the thyroid, the estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. These are critical performance drivers, and they drift, right? Especially if you're over age 30, especially over 40, if you're over 50 like me, like you got to be paying attention to these things. These things are drifting as early as your 30s. Right now, sadly, especially the dudes out there that really want to optimize their health and their life, what they're not realizing is your testosterone on average in this country is already dipping by at least 1% per year, starting at the age of 30. Like, holy crap, that's amazing. And it's not amazing in a good way, right? So we got to get a look under the hood. You got to check, right? Test and not guess. We'll get into some more action steps here in just a second. So number 5, right? 4 was hormonal alignment. Number 5 is the nervous system and your stress load overall, because chronic stress is where a lot of us are at, right? It keeps your body in the fight or flight, right? The sympathetic nervous system, that survival mode, and that cranks up the cortisol that eventually is going to start to tank, right? It leads to poor recovery, reduced resilience. This is where a lot of us, especially I've struggled with this a lot. I know a lot of us high performers, we struggle with this because we just go, go, go. We don't leave time for the sleep and the recovery. We're under this sympathetic fight or flight, do, produce, 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 and we get stuck. And so if you're not incorporating some kind of nervous system retraining, whether it's breath work, oh my gosh, I did the most amazing breathwork session with, I don't know if you know Henry and Taryn Amar. They are amazing people. If you're not following them, you should be. They do an amazing breathwork session. I got to participate in that in Hawaii a couple of weeks ago, and it was amazing. Like literally, it was awesome. And I hope to do it again real soon with them. And I practice their principles. They are amazing at it. Taryn and Henry Amar. Just look them up on YouTube or Instagram. They're both just incredible, amazing humans. And they got this dialed. Like the breath work is critical, key, important. And it can change your physiology on a dime. Like I don't know of anything that can change it that quickly. I mean, the two biggest, I think, levers we have are breath and movement, breath and movement. And it's just incredible how you can change your state so quickly, right? Like what Tony Robbins talks about, the triad, right? Your focus, your feeling, your physiology. You got to change your physiology. You want to change your state, your energy, your mood. You got to change your physiology. And you can do it with breath. You can do it with movement. Ah, and often we forget the chill time, the breath work. We forget the parasympathetic nervous system, which helps us kind of ease into this more restful, pensive state. Maybe it's meditative for you. I mean, I think we should all have at least a few minutes a day that we allow ourselves to be open to receive from our inner strength, our inner source, and from above. I think allowing us to receive is critical. I take a few minutes every morning, eyes closed, just deep breaths. I'm doing a little bit of a, not quite a plank, but it's kind of like a child's pose. And I sit there and I focus on my breath and my internal compass and the meditative, forces from above, God, whatever you call that guide in your life. Like I try to search for that guidance every day. And that meditative time, that parasympathetic nervous system time can be so powerful. And I think we as high performers, we forget about it. We're such doers. We often don't give ourselves any silence, any margin, any gaps or empty space where we can allow ourselves to be touched by our inner guide and our divine guide. And so don't forget about that. Don't forget about your parasympathetic nervous system, which actually sets the tone for healing and regeneration. If you're wearing one of those smartwatches, I sometimes do. I don't have it on now. I don't always wear it, but it monitors what's called your heart rate variability, your HRV, and that is key, critical, crucial to this nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system. And if you don't have heart rate variability, like you're going to be more inflamed, you're going to be more achy, you're going to be under more stress. And so working on that through breath work, through movement, through some quiet time, time where you can hear the divine, to hear yourself, to also just, be able to allow your body to heal, regenerate, recuperate, recover. Like, don't forget about that. So, nervous system and stress load, that's number five. And here's why people get stuck. I'm going to tell you, we focus on all these exterior things, right? We're just looking for the top layer. What's the next supplement? What's the device? Is it cold exposure? Is it sauna? Is it both? I mean, they both have a role. What device should I be wearing? Should it be this watch? Should it be the ring? Should it be, and we forget about the foundational things that I've just talked about right now, the sleep and circadian rhythm, the hormones, your metabolism, right? Insulin, that master hormone, and then your recovery. We forget about that stuff, and that stuff is free. That stuff is foundational. And so the problem is that when you attack the next latest and greatest biohack and you hear it on Ben Greenfield's podcast or whoever's, and you're like, I'm going to do that, or then I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this thing and take this supplement, and you forget that you got to get foundational first. It's kind of like if for you computer guys out there, if you try to upgrade your software on top of an operating system that's broken, like it's not going to work, right? What's the first thing that Apple keeps telling you to do? You got to upgrade your operating system. You got to go to the latest whatever. I don't know which one they're on right now, but the Mac OS, whether what's the lion, the tiger, I don't know. They're putting all these names out there, but you gotta upgrade the operating system first. You can't just put new software on it. The operating system needs to be fixed at the foundational level. And this is why many of you, I know I even thought this in my 30s, like I've tried everything. Like I've done the things, I do the exercise, I eat good. And in reality, I wasn't addressing some of these basic things. Like my circadian rhythm was totally jacked, was totally off. I wasn't getting appropriate sleep. I had ignored sleep for many years. In fact, this whole thing about the quiet time of recovery and parasympathetic nervous system and breath work, and I was like, I don't have time for that. Meditation, forget that. Like that's for monks. Normal people don't have time for that. And I didn't do these foundational things and I was suffering. I was suffering in my 30s. I had less energy than I do now in my 50s. I mean, I feel amazing now. And I am focusing now on the foundational things more than what's the latest and greatest supplement, what's the latest and greatest biohack. And I do a lot of those things too, but I don't get lost in that. There's too much noise out there. You gotta address the system first. So here's the thing. I want you to take away from this that what really matters is what's foundational, right? What is your metabolism doing? What are your hormones actually look like? How are your systems functioning? It's important to understand where you're at. And you got to get foundational. You got to get precise. You got to go deep, right? You got to test and not guess. Don't just put more inputs out there, more supplements, more biohacks, more of this. Just let's go foundational and we got to correct the direction. You don't need more inputs, you need better direction. And so here's what really works, right? I'm going to just summarize this quickly. We're going to wrap this up for you. I don't like to have too lengthy podcasts anymore. I used to do hour plus, and now I try to keep it tight, less than 40 minutes. So you can really take this bite-sized snack, this educational snack, and start working on it immediately. So here's the thing, the real stack that's going to help you more than any biohacking stack. You start with your rhythm, right? Circadian rhythm's got to be optimized. Start with that. Every day, get out in the morning light. I just challenged a group of amazing humans. They're in our couples mastermind. They're all incredible humans to do every morning, get out in the morning light. And I've had so many people reach out and thank me like, oh my gosh, it's a game changer. It's literally life changing, energizing, just, and it's simple. It's free. Just get outside in the morning light. Okay. Number two, sleep consistency. Make yourself a sleep ritual. In the same way that you might have done for your kids or you have for your grandkids, make yourself a sleep ritual. Morning light, consistent sleep, align it. And also with the meals, like Dr. Sachina Panda has said over and over again, to get our system lined up, circadian rhythm, it's the two biggest triggers, which are light and meal timing, right? We got to have this 12 to 14 hour overnight fast where we're not eating, right? Don't eat 3 hours before bed. Like this is the foundation, foundational stuff, right? Rhythm is the first thing, circadian rhythm, your natural rhythm. Number two, metabolism. You got to stabilize your metabolism. This is done simply with a protein forward nutrition. I always talk about start with protein, prioritize protein, start protein. The first meal a day, have at least 30 grams of protein minimum. I try to do at least 50 or 60 grams first meal a day because protein first is where it's at. That sets the tone for the whole rest of the day. You're not going to feel like you got to be snacky because you're setting the tone with protein, which is satiating, which is what your body needs. That's how it builds muscle. It has the building blocks, right? The amino acids. You got to have protein. Start with protein. You got to work on getting your insulin sensitive. Insulin sensitivity is critical. Most of us have insulin resistance. How do you do that? You got to get rid of the big three, right? The highly processed flours, highly processed grains and flours, highly processed sugars. Like you got to get rid of that. And the seed oils, right? Anything that's not avocado oil or extra virgin olive oil or coconut oil, pretty much. Like the rest of that, you got to get rid of. You just have to. Those are the three biggest drivers of inflammation. Biggest drivers of insulin resistance. And all that boring food out there that comes in a package, right? Uh, One of my favorite guests that we had on, it might have been 5 years ago. We talked about this ad nauseum. He wrote the book Why We Get Sick. Benjamin Bickman, Dr. Bickman. He's actually here in Utah, and I podcasted with him, and he talks all about this whole thing of insulin. Insulin is driving disease, too much insulin, insulin resistance. And the way to correct it is we get rid of those big three. We get rid of the stuff that comes in a bag or a box or with a barcode, and we just eat real food. All of it, the healthy fats, the healthy proteins, the healthy oils, the healthy carbs, right? The fruits, the veggies. Like, don't drink your juice. He always said, eat your fruit, don't drink your juice. and a lot of wisdom there. So we got to stabilize the metabolism. We got to preserve our muscle. Number three, muscle and strength, movement and strength. Muscle is a longevity organ. It is the most important, I think, longevity organ that we have because it literally is the key driver and foundation of our metabolism. You want to lose more weight? Build more muscle. You're like, well, that's counterintuitive. Muscle weighs more than fat. Well, yeah, it weighs more, but you know what it does? It works all day. It optimizes your metabolism. It burns your fat. It burns those calories while you're sleeping, while you're doing nothing. That muscle is energy intense. It provides you with more energy. It burns more fuel. It can help you lose weight. Like you can literally lose weight while you sleep if you build your muscle. Don't believe me? Just try it, right? Like Bruno says, don't believe me? Just try it. Just try it. I don't know if that's what he says, but he's one of the dudes from Hawaii that Bruno Mars, you probably know, has some fun lyrics. But anyway, just don't believe me. Just try it. Try it. Try it. Do it. Do it. Muscle is the key organ of longevity. It drives your metabolism, your hormones, your resilience. Don't forget to build muscle. Minimum 2 to 3 days a week. You got to work on building muscle. Work your whole muscle system 2 to 3 days a week. So that I usually break it up and I do half of my body on one day and half on the other day. So I end up working out, doing some kind of muscle work 5 days a week, usually 5, 6 days a week. And I have a day of rest where I don't really do heavy muscle stuff. I just walk. That's usually my Sunday. I love to walk. It's one of my key, just happy times of life. Number four, recovery. Make it your job to put recovery as a priority. That thing that I avoided for all those years, I didn't want to take time and do meditation or do breath work or do anything that was restful because I don't have time for that. I don't have time. Well, my body was suffering. I was always on go, go, go mode. And so my inflammation was going up and I never had time to flush these toxins. I wasn't getting enough sleep. My lymphatic system like wasn't operating. Like you gotta give your body time to recover. Make it a priority. Work it into your day. Maybe do 10 minutes every morning like I do and do some breath work and close your eyes and look for that inner strength and your higher power and connect. Like take 10 minutes a day. We all have 10 minutes, right? Sometimes you just got to lock yourself in the bathroom and give yourself 10 minutes to close your eyes, put your hand over your heart, and do some breathing. But don't forget about it. It's simple, it's free, and we often neglect it. I did for most of my life. I'm going to be honest. And it wasn't working. And now that I've discovered the beauty, the power of recovery, making it a priority, it's changed everything. So make sure to have some downtime, stress regulation, sleep, prioritize this meditative time, this parasympathetic nervous system time, right? To improve your heart rate variability. So once you've done those things, get the foundation right, then and only then you can do all the other things, get the tools in. This is where you can start using wearables and taking all these crazy supplements and doing peptides and all this stuff. You don't start with that first. You start with the foundational things. You want to have a functioning system. So let's be honest. Right now, there's a lot of noise out there, like I shared at the beginning. There's tons of biohacking noise. Stop the biohacking. It's it's crazy. There's too much noise. Instead, start at the foundation, right? Don't overly rely on all these gadgets or multiple supplements. You gotta go to the basics first, right? It's not that those things are bad, but they're out of order. They're out of order, right? We got to fix the operating system before we put new software in there. We got to go back to the operating system, to the foundational approach. And many of us to do so, we need a guide. We need somebody that's been there, somebody that can help us, somebody that knows the way, right? Because our lifestyle sometimes just gets in the way and we forget about the basics. We forget we need somebody to remind us. We need somebody to guide us and help us so we can know which tests that we should do and how do we incorporate the movement into our lifestyle and how can we get the restorative recovery in there. And then what about this weight training stuff, the resistance training? Like how do we do all that? Well, that's what I do. I can help you with that. There's lots of us out there in functional and integrative medicine. We specialize in this. We help you get deep, go to the roots and with precision. Not guessing, right? That's why you test and you don't guess. So if you've tried a lot of things and you're still not feeling the way that you wish that you would, you probably don't need more things. You just need a complete system. You need to get foundational. You need to get one that actually works. And then everything becomes easier, much easier. Literally, you want to lose weight, the pounds will melt. You get foundational, you fix what's deep at the root, everything else will fall into place. So start with the basics, re-listen to this, get those steps, reach out to me. I'm over there on Instagram, Dr. Thomas Hemingway, Facebook, Thomas Hemingway MD, ThomasHemingway.com. Like you can find me. I'm available. I'm actually been really active in my social media lately, answering lots of questions. If you want a podcast on a particular topic, just reach out to me. Like I'd be happy to do that. And if you need a guide and you want to go deep and you want to get a plan precise just for you, like reach out to me. I have a whole program for that. It's called the Accelerator Program. This is what you can accomplish in months, what it takes years for other people to accomplish because you get specific, you get personal, you get a system for you. So that's the thing is test and don't guess. Go to the basics, get foundational, and then it all just comes into play. It's amazing how things just kind of line up once you go foundational. And this is what I found in my life because I used to be kind of chaotic and chasing the thing. Like I was all about it, listen to all these podcasts, what's the next thing I should be doing? And I would forget, like, wait, did I have my 10 minutes of restorative recovery time today where I closed my eyes and I did breath work? No, I forgot about that. Did I get my 7.5, 8 hours of sleep? No, I forgot about that too. Did I get my resistance training 3 to 5 days this week? Well, maybe I did it three and I didn't do all my muscle groups. Like I was forgetting the foundational stuff. Was I eating to fuel myself in a nutritive, helpful way with real food, ditching the stuff that Ben Bickman says, right? The stuff in the bag, the box, the barcode. Oh, wait, I forgot about that. I ate out a few times this week and I didn't pay attention to those seed oils and whatever. Like, you got to get foundational. Test and don't guess. Biohacking out there, it's broken. More hacks might be making you more exhausted because you're not getting foundational. So if you need help, you want a guide, reach out to me, message me. I'd love to set up a call with you, chat with you, or just, ask me a question. I'm super active on social and I just appreciate you. I appreciate you taking the time. Share this out. If you have others that are struggling, that want to feel better, that want to get their energy up, I'm here and I'm happy to help. Until next time, abig aloha.